Welcome to Vermont. Time to start a new dryer this morning. We're going to start out by doing some inspecting. Check how the sensors are installed. We have the 4-point RTD on here, and they look like they were all installed right. I'm going to check the power boxes, see how things are wired. Just inspect stuff to make sure it's all good. Okay, that right there, our over temp and our plenum temp. That's not good. That should be fastened up, shouldn't be wearing on anything. That'll make it go bad. Okay, bottom plenum. Same thing going on in here. Hook that up there at least. It's just not professional. Everything looks good. No parts in here. Okay, to start out with, whenever we do an initial startup, we go to Tools, we go to Connectivity Tools, we go to Network Repair Utility. And we run Initial Configuration Wizard. We accept, ready next step, ready next step. Assign network adapter names. Assign dryer connection static IP. And even though we're not doing an internet setup here, I always hit setup internet and go through all the steps. Because we want to go to the network adapter settings and make sure that our numbers are what they should be. So it's on internet there, so we'll go to dryer, and if you look there, we have a metric of 35. We have to fix that, so we tap on that. That will fix itself. Okay, see, that's switched to a 2. That's what it's supposed to be. Now, over here, if we had internet, all of these should be green, but our DNS for my Sukup and internet are not green because we do not have internet hooked up. At this point, we hit reset. Now there's some settings I'm going to set that you do on this version 302. So we go in here, we enable admin settings, we go to unload settings, unload speed loop controls, we set our temperature gain to 150. We go to grain settings to verify. Oh, we want to change this to temperature control. Change that to column temperature. We're going to set that at 125 to start. And moisture sensor configuration. We need to make sure that's set up the way it's supposed to be. We're going to set that to 2-minute average. Okay, now to start with, we're going to set our min and max mod valve settings to 25% because we need to calibrate the mod valves because they are not always calibrated from factory. So we're going to back out of there. We're going to go to start. We're going to go to manual operation. Okay, one more thing before we fire it up. We need to, since it's empty, we need to override our air switch. Then we'll go to manual operation, fan 1, heat 1. Watch our plenum details to see if the temperature comes up. Okay, now we're going to go out and calibrate the mod valves. Sukup did a nice job putting these platforms up here. Makes it way easier to work on them. We shut our heaters off, wait till our plenums cool, turn our fans off, and go to our settings. We need to go to our fan heat settings, mod valve settings, set the minimum opening to 10 on both of them, maximum to 60. Then we're going to go in here and we're going to enable the low temp option in case he ever wants to dry cooler. We're going to go into the min and max. We're going to set this min to 100. Okay, that's all we need to set in there. Let's go to the load settings. Load delay, auto wet green, 10 minutes is good start. We were in there. Unload settings, we set our speed loop controls already. Temperature deadbands at 0. Unload clean out timer, we're going to put that to 30 seconds. Grain settings, that's pretty much all the way we wanted at this point. Okay, now we're ready to check the load, make sure it's turning the right direction. Do that, we'll turn the load on. Dryer and verify. Yep, both augers are turning the right way. The one on the top of the dryer and the one coming up to the dryer. So we're starting to fill the corn. We got 28% corn. Dryer's gonna fill from the back because we're filling in the back. And work its way front through. Once the dryer's full, then we're going to fire the fan and heat up and start warming it up. Okay. We have an elevator behind this dryer that the unload is dumping into. So we're going to want to set our unload clean out timer for 60 seconds. That way it has time to clean out the elevator before shutting it off. Since there's an auger unload, the metering rolls will shut off and the rest of the unload will keep running to clean it out. Okay, another thing, every time you start a new dryer, go to Tools, Update Tools, and we disable Windows updates. That way if we hook this dryer to the internet, that it doesn't try doing a Windows update and mess the software up. We will also go to Tools, Connectivity Tools, Remote Access. We're going to enable that. And okay, that's the information you need to set up your remote access. You gotta call the office with that. Okay, that's all we need to know in there. Actually, you hook an Ethernet cable into the bottom of the touchscreen that has internet on it, and you call the office, give them these numbers, and they will activate your remote access. Now, since by disabling Windows updates, it restarted it, and it shut my dryer down, so we're gonna start filling it again, because we're not quite full yet. Full now. Upper and lower paddle switch is green. Now, we're drying 28% corn today. So we're going to have to preheat that for 7 minutes per point of moisture we're removing. So we're going to run the 13 point removal to take 28% corn down to 15% in the bin. We're going to 13 points at 7 minutes is 91 minutes. We'll divide that by 2. So we're going to run the fan 1 for 45 minutes, fan and heat. We got that set at 180. That's always what we start on for our preheat. And we'll run fan 1 for 45 minutes, then we'll start fan 2, and about maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes in, we'll start unloading. Okay, we got plenum 1 running for about 40 minutes, and we're gonna start fan 2 and heat 2, and then let it run another 40 minutes and we'll be ready to start unloading. Okay, I noticed I've been running for about 50 minutes now. 40 minutes on the bottom fan, 10 minutes on the top, and my column temp is at 174, and I got the 4 RTDs on the dryer, but that column temperature is way too high. So I am going to swap my RTD transmitter and see if we have a bad RTD transmitter. That's my first step. I first went and I tested each individual sensor from my grain temp sensors. I tested each one and they're all showing about 1100 ohms. So the ohms are all showing the same. There's a good chance that they're working correctly. But we're gonna swap this transmitter out. We hook these wires up first, then we hook those up. Now we'll go see what that grain temperature is doing, the column temperature. Because we should not be running 170 this early in the game. Okay, that dropped our column down to 104. So obviously that RTD transmitter was bad. Which makes me wonder, Are the plenums accurate? So we may have to do a little checking on that also now. Supposed to have a temperature sensor in here somewhere. Here we go. And common. Plug that in there. Get this out of the box. Out of the bag. And we're gonna hook this up. There. This to temperature on Fahrenheit, and we're going to check the plenums and see what they're running at. We're both set at 180 right now, and I'm going to feed this wire down in the corner of the door. Stick it in the corner there. And we're climbing. Let's see what the burners look like. Look at that nice blue flame. No yellow in that flame. Okay, this temperature sensor is terribly slow. But it looks like we're not far off on the plenum temperature. Now we're rolling along about 160. I don't take this line temperature necessarily to the bank, but neither am I trusting the sensor on the dryer either. So let's see what the top plenum reads. Looks like we're going to go up the same thing. We're refilling already because that 30%, 28% corn shrinks quite a lot while drying. We didn't start unloading. We got some bees wings in there on the floor from filling. But nice blue flame. So the top plenum looks like she's running around 145. Here's that sensor, make sure it's not against the metal. Yep, she's running right about 145. So we're going to go ahead and calibrate that plenum temperature because we're going to, what did I say, the top one's, bottom one's running 160, and the top one 145. this is something you should always do, is calibrate these sensors. So we're gonna go in here, we're gonna go to tools, calibrate sensors. Ooh, admin tools enabled there. Now maybe it'll let us do it. Nope. Calibrate sensors, plenum calibrations. So we're gonna hit -5. There. Oh no, that one there we want to have. So we're at 45. So we want to be 15 on that one. And we want to be 5 on this one. I don't put it up as high as what I read to get it as high as what I read right there in the back at that door. But I want it to read close to the same. So we were reading 160. So that gives us another 5 degrees. And here we were reading 45, 55, 60. So that gives us 160. We actually should put that up. That puts us to 165. That gets us close. It's not the way I like it. But one day, if we're lucky, we will stop using transmitters to read temperature. So yeah, there we're going to be, that's going to be running a lot better, I think. So we'll go from there. Now the column's really hard to calibrate because we don't know, we can't hardly put a sensor in and read them. So, okay. We've been running for 60 minutes now. So another 30 minutes, 20 minutes, we'll probably start unloading. Until then, see ya. Okay, so we just started the unload at 10% unload speed. The chart shows 28% corn. We should be running the unload with I think around 17%. Actually, now that we started the unload, we're going to take this top plenum 2, and we're going to bump that up to 210 because we got some pretty wet corn. So we're going to bump that top plenum temp up because it's time to dry corn. And we're going to run that unload speed at 10% here for... So we started at 11:05 heating, and we're at 12:30. So 11:05 to 12:30 is 85 minutes. So we heated for 85 minutes. So the calculator showed 91 minutes to heat, but I kind of wanted to get things moving slow. So we're running that unload at 10%. We're going to run that for about 10 minutes or so at 10%, 10-15 minutes. And then I'm going to bump that up to 15. And then we'll go from there. Okay. We got a pretty hot grain temperature. So we're going to put our unload to auto. So we're going to go to automatic control. And we have a column temp set point at 130. That's probably pretty near what we want. And we're going to let it roll at that. And our unload speed after 30 seconds will start adjusting to catch that, to get that column temperature down to 130. Our discharge temp is reading a little high. Okay, we're running along an auto here, but I think from what I'm seeing here, our column temperature is dropping, And I think our unload speed is barely climbed, so I think that 130 is actually going to be a little high. So we're going to drop that to 125 and let her run for about a half an hour and see what it comes up with. Okay, so we're running along. We're at 107 now, and column temp seems to be dropping a little. It buzzes up pretty high and it keeps coming down. Unload speed is dropping pretty good, trying to hold it. So we're gonna change that column to 120 because our corn is coming out plenty dry right now. So we'll drop that to 120. Okay, we've been running since 11:05. We started the burner. So we've been running the unload. Overall, we've been running just over 3 hours. If we go in here to tools, bushel calendar, we've dumped 593 bushel. Dryer holds 550. I had calibrated the bushel calendar with calibrate sensors, bushel calendar. I did a manual calibration off the chart for this dryer. And we're still running. I ended up calibrating this discharge temperature. It was reading about 10 degrees hot. So I calibrated that, but we're still reading a little bit low on our moisture and a little bit hot on our discharge. And we're running a pretty steady 120, which is our set point now. If we go into graphs and column temperature, you can see we've been running pretty steady on our set point. So we're gonna drop that set point 5 degrees. We're gonna drop that to 115 and let that unload speed up, get the grain through a little faster. When I put my unload to auto, I bumped my top plenum to 220 degrees. And my bottom's at 180. Because of how wet of corn we're drying, I wanted to get that top temperature up to speed it up. So we're gonna let it sit on a 115 for now and see what it turns out. Wait about a half an hour, 40 minutes, and see where our moisture's at. Okay, when we look at our graphs menu here, we look at our column temperature, it's doing a lot of bouncing, and when it comes up to hit, it drops away again before it hits. So it's reacting a little too fast. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to settings, unload speed loop controls, and we're going to change the temperature loop gain to 100. We're gonna run it on 100, and just to slow down that response a little bit so it flatlines better and don't do quite so much jumping. Otherwise, we're rolling along. We have our moisture about where it needs to be, and it seems to be holding it fairly good. Okay, so we've been running a few hours, and in the meantime, it was having trouble bringing it to the line. It would overreact and push it away again. So I went in and I changed the temperature gain in unload settings. I put the temperature gain to 100, and that seems to be doing a way nicer job. Since I changed that, we have we're running pretty much right on the set point. I mean, it's waving a little, but you're gonna have that waving. But it's waving back and forth across the set point instead of beside the set point. We calibrated the moisture sensor. We're running about 16.5% right now. And it says we calibrated the discharge grain temp, then we waited about a half an hour, and we calibrated the discharge moisture. We're running 115. We got our plenum set at 220 and 180. We have 28% corn going in the top. So 16.5 hop. That's gonna make some nice corn in the bin. I believe we are all set to go now. And if your moisture is off and you want to adjust your moisture, you change the column temp set point 1 degree for each 0.2% of moisture you want to change. So 5 degrees is 1% in moisture to make your adjustments to fine tune it. So I believe this dryer is all set. We're going to go out and do a walk around the dryer, and then we're going to call it a night. Guess I got to clean my tools up. And I'm very happy. Just to another thing you want to look at is these temp sensors. I eliminated the thermal wells on them. The thermal wells are eliminated. So if we look here, I think I have them in my truck here somewhere. So I always remove the thermal well. And I'll just show you here how I do that. I'll just remove this one as a demonstration of what you want to do with your sensors to make them react fast.
for home.